Alienware's Area-51 is the heaviest 16-inch gaming laptop I've ever tested. But behind all that RGB lighting is record-breaking performance and more upgrade options compared to some bigger 18-inch laptops. So let's see what it can do in this review. Alienware's new Area-51 design has a unique metallic teal lid, while the interior is black plastic. And as you'd expect from an Alienware laptop, there's plenty of RGB lighting. Overall build quality feels great. This is one of the most premium feeling laptops I've tested so far this year. There's not much flex when pushing down hard on the keyboard, and the lid feels sturdier than most others too, resulting in no screen wobble when typing. The lid hinges feel sturdy, even if I open and close the lid way too fast. You don't see the hinges as they're hidden inside with this new design, and it opens up easily with one finger. It powers on when you open the lid, but you can disable that in BIOS. There's a Gorilla Glass panel underneath, so you can sort of see inside, which looks kinda cool, but in practice, we found it too slippery to use on your lap. The Alienware 16 Area-51 is on the thicker side, but that's to be expected from a powerful 16-inch gaming laptop. The laptop by itself weighs in at 7.2 pounds or 3.3 kilos, increasing to 9.6 pounds or 4.3 kilos with the 360-watt charger included. This is a heavy gaming laptop, and it's broken our record for heaviest 16-inch laptop tested so far, and fits in better with the larger 18-inch models. That's even more so the case with the fairly chunky power brick. It's basically tied with Dell's G16, but it is possible for Dell/Alienware to make lighter laptops. My configuration has Intel's Core Ultra 9 2975HX processor, Nvidia's RTX 5080 laptop graphics, 32 gigs of RAM, and a 16-inch QHD Plus 240Hz screen. But it's also available with lower or higher tier specs for less or more money depending on how you customize it with the link below the video. And if it has a good sale, we'll have it listed on our gaminglaptop.deals website so you can get it at the best price. The keyboard has per key RGB backlighting, and all keys and secondary functions get lit up. Key brightness can be adjusted between two levels or turned off with the F9 shortcut, and this only changes the keyboard. The rest of the RGB lighting does not change. You can press the F7 key to enable stealth mode, which turns off all RGB lighting and sets the keyboard to blue, so you can quickly swap it out of over-the-top gamer mode if your boss walks by. You can customize the lighting in different zones or altogether, but you can't swap between effects with a keyboard shortcut like most other laptops have. And you also can't adjust keyboard brightness in the software, so you're stuck with the two levels from the shortcut. Mine has the optional mechanical keyboard with 1.8mm of key travel, and the Cherry MX low-profile switches feel great to type on. They're nice and clicky, but it is of course louder compared to others. The key presses also have a metallic sound afterwards, which is made more obvious when I do this. Most of the keys highlighted in green are mechanical, but the ones in red along the top are not. The wrist rest area isn't as big as most other laptops because the air vents at the top push the keyboard down, but I didn't have any problems with it, and I think I've got above average sized hands. The edge has a nice curve, and it feels nice to rest on. This design does make the touchpad a little smaller than others, but it functions very well and has a nice satisfying click that works anywhere. My glass touchpad has RGB lighting, which looks kinda cool depending on how you customize it, but it turns off after just 10 seconds of idle. You can get it without the light up touchpad if you prefer. I think it's only available for the 5070 Ti and above models. There are speakers on either side of the keyboard, and underneath towards the front on the sides. They don't sound great considering the price. There's not enough bass and they just sound tinny. The Latencymon results weren't impressive in our 5-minute idle test. There are only a few ports on the sides, so nothing gets in the way for right-handed mouse users. Most of the ports are on the back. There's a good selection overall, but I'm surprised that a bigger laptop like this is missing Ethernet. The website mentions that there's a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet to USB-C adapter in the box, but ours didn't have one, so not sure if that varies by region or what. And given how many ports are on the back, it would have been nice nice to have some port icons to make plugging stuff in easier. But at least the new RGB lighting doesn't blind you and prevent you from seeing the ports like last gen. All display outputs connect directly to the NVIDIA graphics, which is ideal for VR and getting maximum performance in games with a monitor connected. Getting inside requires undoing 8 Phillips head screws, but the ones closer to the front stay in the panel. I found it extremely difficult to open this laptop, even with pry tools, so you've got no chance without them. I'll leave a link to these ones I use below. Once you're able to get inside, we've got the battery down the front, 2 memory slots underneath this cover, the installed SSD on the far left, with 2 additional M.2 slots for storage on the right, while Wi-Fi is soldered and cannot be upgraded. At least they're using the latest Wi-Fi 7, so you're less likely to need an upgrade anytime soon, as performance is good. Upgradable would have been better, but this appears to be a compromise of having 3 slots for SSDs, which is rare to see in a 16-inch gaming laptop. The speeds from the installed 1TB PCIe Gen 4 SSD are decent. Mine came with a shorter 2230 M.2 drive, but all 3 slots can fit full-size 2280 drives with chips on both sides. According to Dell's documentation, all 3 M.2 storage slots support the latest PCIe Gen 5 with the RTX 5070 Ti and above configuration. Otherwise, only one slot gets it, with the rest being Gen 4. The SD card slot is fast too. It's basically maxing out my V90 card. The card does not click in, and it sticks out a little, so be careful not to bump it. The upgrade score is held back by the lack of upgradable Wi-Fi, and I took off half a point for how hard it is to open it up and get inside to begin with. But despite this, if you're after more than 2 slots for SSDs at 16 inches, this is one of your few choices. Alienware's 16 Area-51 is powered by a 6-cell 96Wh battery. Unlike most other laptops, we couldn't see a feature to automatically lower the screen's refresh rate to 60Hz when you unplug to save power, so all battery testing has been done with the screen at 240Hz, as we assume most people will forget to manually change it every time. Battery life wasn't that impressive for a 16-inch gaming laptop, lasting for just over 5 hours in our YouTube video playback test. It's similar to a number of other Intel-based laptops, but if you want extra runtime, you'll probably want to look at something with a more power-efficient processor instead. It only lost 17% of its battery charge while asleep for 24 hours. But this isn't a fair comparison with the other laptops, as results depend on the size of the laptop's battery. Here's how much battery power was lost on average per hour, which is a fair comparison. So it's one of the better results out of the laptops tested so far, with only HP's Omen Max 16 and Razer Blade 16 burning through less power while asleep. Let's check out thermals next. The CPU and GPU are covered by a vapor chamber cooler with their Element 31 liquid metal only on the CPU. The cooler is inverted, so repasting is a more involved process than most other laptops. We've got 4 fans in total, with 2 at the back pulling air in from the vents above the keyboard, and the bottom 2 fans pulling air in from the vents below the glass. Air gets exhausted out from the vents on the left and right sides, and out from the corners on the back too. Alienware's Command Center software allows us to change between different performance modes, which from lowest to highest are quiet, balanced, performance, and overdrive mode. Unlike a lot of other laptops, I think it does a good job of explaining what the modes are for and what sort of performance and fan noise to expect. There's also custom mode, which lets you apply 2 preset overclock profiles, or you can customize it, but I didn't see any way of controlling the fans. There's also high performance mode, which can only be enabled with the F6 shortcut, and we found all of these modes apply the following overclocks to the GPU. You can also control the TCC offset in the software or BIOS. Basically, this is the thermal throttle limit for the processor, so by default, it's allowed to run all the way up to 105 degrees Celsius. But if you don't like that, you can just lower the offset for cooler temps. The trade-off will be a bit less performance. The internal temperatures were cool at idle. The rest of the results are from combined CPU and GPU stress tests, which aim to represent a worst-case full-load scenario. But in most cases, the temps are good. High performance and overdrive mode were about the same and a bit warmer compared to standard performance mode. Temperatures shoot up and thermal throttle with the lid closed, probably because half the fans bring air in above the keyboard, so be aware of that if you plan on docking the laptop. Using a basic metal stand didn't really make a difference to temperatures, but the cooling pad I test with, linked below, did. Temps get lower at the expense of faster and louder fans on the pad, but with the pad maxed out, temps shoot up. And that's because, like most other laptops tested this year, once we apply lots of cooling headroom, GPU power seems to get sacrificed at the expense of higher CPU performance. This also happened in custom mode with the overclock profiles. Otherwise, in high performance or overdrive modes, the GPU was basically running at its full 175 watt power limit with the CPU at 65 watts. A decent result for a 16-inch gaming laptop, and exactly what Alienware claims on their site for the RTX 5080 or 5090 models. More power means more performance, and that's why the modes where CPU power was prioritized are able to hit 4 GHz plus. Here's how an actual game performs with the different performance modes in use. I've got the native results without upscaling shown in purple, and a demonstration of what's possible with ray tracing and DLSS in red. Basically, high performance or overdrive modes give us the best FPS, but performance is still quite good even in the lowest quiet mode. The CPU can use more power in a CPU-only workload like Cinebench, where the GPU is idle, and high performance and overdrive modes offer the best performance here too. The Alienware 16 Area-51 gaming laptop has broken our record for CPU performance. It really doesn't seem like the size of the laptop helps much in this test, because we've got a few 16-inch models ahead of bigger 18-inch ones that have more space for better cooling. Then again, the Alienware does cram 4 fans inside. Performance lowers if we unplug the charger and instead run off of battery power, but it's still one of the best results recorded. But it's kinda crazy that a 13-inch tablet is matching it in multi-core performance. As for keyboard temps, most laptops I test are in the low 30 degrees Celsius range on the keyboard at idle, and the Alienware was in line with this and felt cool. It gets warmer with the stress test running, and it's a bit warm now, but it's still in quiet mode and the fans aren't yet working too hard. It's similar in balance mode and starts to feel uncomfortable in the middle. Performance mode is similar, with the WASD area warmer than I'd like despite the fans getting faster and louder, but it's a bit cooler in the highest overdrive mode. But the fans are louder now too, and we can see there's quite a bit of hot air coming out of the sides. The hottest point of the keyboard in overdrive mode was a little warm and similar to other Alienware laptops. It's not quite uncomfortable, but not far from it. Granted, that was in the middle of the keyboard. The WASD area was just a bit warm feeling and okay under longer term loads like gaming, but the fans are louder in overdrive too. Let's have a listen. The fans were still running when idling in quiet mode. They were very quiet, but that explains why the idle temps were so cool earlier. They get louder in the higher modes, as expected, but the cooling pad at 800 RPM was a little quieter compared to not using the pad at all, as it allows the laptop's fans to run slower. But things can get insanely loud if we turn the pad up too high though. Game performance was still decent in balanced mode, so you can absolutely still get a good gaming experience playing games without the fans getting as loud. And in the highest overdrive mode, it is louder compared to many other laptops tested, but I suppose it does have 4 fans inside. Alright, we need to talk about the screen. Dell chose to ignore OLED and mini LED panels and stick to standard IPS here, but despite that, the color gamut wasn't far behind those other panel technologies. The screen gets fairly bright too, at around 550 nits at full brightness, which actually puts it ahead of most OLED panels that we've tested. You've got to go for a mini LED panel if you want a brighter screen, but the trade-off is the halo or blooming effect from the dimming zones. I had some backlight bleed, but this will vary between each panel. Screen response time was excellent. Ideally, a 240Hz screen needs transitions to occur within a 4.16 millisecond refresh window, and most of them are faster than this, so no issues with ghosting. It's one of the fastest results we've recorded from a standard IPS panel. It's faster than the mini LED panels, and and only the OLED screens are significantly faster. But of course, the trade-off there is the potential for burn-in. Despite not having a super fast OLED panel, it still provides a great result in the total system latency test, which is the amount of time between a mouse click and when a gunshot fire appears on the screen in Counter-Strike 2. In fact, the top of the graph is dominated by RTX 50 laptops, so there's clearly a trend here. The Alienware 16 has advanced Optimus, so you can swap between Optimus on or off without rebooting to get optimal game performance. It's also got a traditional mux switch available through software, but that one needs a reboot. G-Sync is only available when Optimus is off, but Adaptive Sync is available from the integrated graphics when Optimus is on. So either way, you get tear-free gameplay. There's a 4K camera above the screen, but at least in the Windows camera app, it's only capable of doing 4K in terms of photos. This video I'm recording right now is 1440p, but that is still better quality compared to most laptops out there. And here's what it sounds like while typing on the mechanical keyboard. Alright, let's see how well Alienware's 16-inch Area-51 does in games. We've tested it with these settings for best results. This is only the second gaming laptop with RTX 5080 graphics that we've tested so far, so all we've got to compare it to is HP's Omen Max 16. Across all three of the games that we test, for comparing laptops at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K resolutions, with or without ray tracing enabled, generally speaking, both laptops were quite similar in terms of average FPS. But more often than not, the Omen tended to have higher 1% low results than the Alienware, which in other words means less stuttering and a more stable experience with the Omen. In many cases, the difference is only small, and at the end of the day, Alienware's 16 Area-51 laptop still offers great gaming performance. Here are the 3D Mark results. Content creator results were good. Again, similar to HP's Omen Max 16 with same CPU and GPU, but also often not far behind higher spec 5090 laptops. The BIOS doesn't look as flashy compared to other brands like Asus, but it's functional and there are a lot of options you can customize through here that aren't available in software. But there's also overlap with options that are found in software too. Linux support was mostly alright, but audio wasn't working out of the box with the latest Ubuntu Live CD. Pricing and availability will change over time, so check the links below the videos for updates and current sales. And if this laptop does have a good sale, we'll add it to our gaminglaptop.deals website. We update that every day with all of the best sales, so make sure that you check it out regularly to save money on your next gaming laptop with that link below. And you can also get 10% off when ordering through the Dell.com website by signing up to their email newsletter with that link below in the description. It just might take a few hours for them to actually send out the coupon code. At the time of recording in late June, it starts from $2,000 with the RTX 5060 graphics, goes up to $2,450 for the 5070, then $2,900 for the 5070 Ti, then $3,250 for the 5080 I've tested here, and then another $600 on top of that for the 5090. So is Alienware's Area-51 worth considering? Let's break down the highs and lows of their most premium 16-inch gaming laptop this generation. First, let's start with the good things about this laptop. Performance is excellent. It even beats some larger 18-inch beasts. And with 3 M.2 slots, it's even more upgradable than some 18-inch models too. Build quality feels solid. The optional mechanical keyboard is great to type with if you don't mind the louder clicky sound. And the screen hits a sweet spot with solid color, brightness, and response times, despite not being OLED or mini LED. If you're after either of those screens, then this is not the laptop for you. Thermals are generally managed well with the 4 fans, vapor chamber cooler, and liquid metal, and you can tweak temperature limits to prevent it getting too hot. And now for the bad. A downside of cramming so many features into this thing is it's heavy. It feels more like you're carrying an 18-inch laptop around, despite the smaller size. There's no Ethernet port, Wi-Fi is soldered and can't be upgraded. The speakers were a letdown. Opening it to upgrade is a pain, though you probably won't be doing that too often. And thanks to the glass panel on the bottom, you can't actually use it as a laptop without it slipping off your lap. Despite this being a premium gaming laptop, at current retail prices, I think Dell is asking for a bit too much. But it's only been out for a few months. It should get cheaper over time. And they've already run some decent sales on this and the larger 18-inch model deal that we've featured on the gaminglaptop.deals website. So check out that link below to see if there are any good deals at the time you're watching this video. But if you're getting this gaming laptop, should you go all in for the higher tier RTX 5090, or is the 5080 enough? Check out this video next, where I've compared both laptop GPUs in 25 games at 3 resolutions before you waste your money. I'll see you in that one next.